Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Duff and Heskey.
All right, you're welcome back. It is 7:30 on Thursday, so as always, John Giles is live in studio with us. How's it going?
Okay, Nathan.
53106 is the text number. We're live on all our social channels as well. There's a lot to talk about. Yeah. Kevin Gilban is going on Dancing on Ice, John.
Yeah, that's a lot to talk about.
I know.
Yeah.
Come on.
I admire his courage.
Do you?
I do, yeah. I've only gone back to my own time, Nathan. I couldn't imagine myself ever doing it.
Did you ever get offered any gigs, any of those sort of reality TV?
No, they went out in those days. I certainly wouldn't be doing that. Well, I saw the Strictly Dancing last week with James.
David James, yeah.
Jeez, it was embarrassment. Anyway.
Do you go back into full-on critic mode when you're sitting watching these reality TV shows?
Sometimes, yeah. I don't mind if the lads are on and they're being funny.
Right.
I mean, some of the ads have been very good where there was genuine, you could have a good laugh at it. But I think when it's serious enough to be out there in front of millions of people dancing, right, when you need to be good at dancing, or indeed, I hope Kevin does well at the ice skating. But James wasn't good at the dancing. Now, I'd say it could be a money situation, which is fair enough, but like to put yourself out there, I mean, I've two left feet anyway. I'd be hopeless. So I couldn't imagine doing it.
Well, Kev has to learn first to skate.
Yeah.
And then to dance.
Yeah, it's a big job. I'll be looking out for him. I wish him all the best, Nathan. But it wasn't out in my day anyway. We didn't have Strictly Dancing and we didn't have the skating as you see today, you know. I
think we'll have to start every Thursday night once the show starts with a 5-minute John Giles review of Kevin Gilban.
It might be too long, the 5 minutes, isn't it?
1 week might be long enough for everybody.
I wish him all the best. I admire him for doing it, but I couldn't imagine myself even trying it.
Were there many endorsements when you were playing? Were there other ways of making money aside from just your salary?
Very few, Nathan. Because
were there boot deals?
Yeah, well, someone like Alan Ball, for example, in my day wore white boots for the first time. But in the old days, like I was at Manchester United, Manchester United had to buy their own gear.
So there was no kit deal even?
No, and you wouldn't be wearing a new kit the next week. You know the way now the lads are out and they're throwing the jerseys in
every time,
because they're getting them free and they're being paid to wear them. You see, television has come along, and it's a great advert. Actually, I think it's a good deal for the companies, because you've got players on the pitch for an hour and a half. Like if you had to buy an hour and a half ad, it costs you a fortune. Now I'm not saying they're getting it cheap, but it's a great ad. People are watching it, and you got the advert blazoned all over the front. Like in my day, there was no adverts at all, so there was no money in it. Like the clubs would get a deal from Adidas or something to buy the gear.
Get a reduced rate.
Right. Yeah. So like if you go back to my days, you don't see the players throwing the jerseys out to the fans.
Because you had to bring it back in. Get it washed and wear it again the next week.
Exactly, yeah. There was no money in it. No, there was very little money for players in my time to make money outside the game.
So did you ever swap jerseys with anybody? Like, do you have jerseys at home from games you played?
I have a few, mostly international matches.
Right.
Because you weren't expected to give your international jersey back.
Okay, so you actually get to keep that.
So I've swapped jersey with playing against Brazil or Argentina. That was. Everybody did it in those days because the jersey belonged to you. But you weren't doing it week in and week out at the club level because they were buying the jerseys.
Any particular jersey that stands out?
I'm surprised the FAI didn't charge us for it.
I'm surprised the committee that were in charge didn't demand that they bring them back themselves.
Yeah.
Were there any jerseys that stood out that you have at home?
One of my sons keeps the jerseys nice. Yeah, I've got one of the Brazilians, the Argentinians. And my own jersey, most of my international home jerseys I gave away.
Just over the years?
I don't think I have it. I probably have one or two Irish jerseys. Because actually when you're playing at that time, you don't think of the importance of the sentiments involved in it, Nathan. You just...
That 30, 40 years, people would love to still look at them.
Exactly. My son has a couple. One of my sons has a couple. Actually, I think my brother was in a team at that time and they needed jerseys. And I think I gave him 11 or 12 Irish jerseys at the time, you know. So you don't think... when you're playing at that time, you don't put the importance on it. It's just another jersey, you know.
And was it the similar situation? Well, now we have a situation where, because players generally put on a new jersey even for the second half, you'll see the situation at half time where players are looking to Messi or Salah, can I swap your jersey at the break? Would you go up and approach a player that you admired after an international game and say, can I have your jersey?
I don't ever remember doing that. Because what would happen after, if the lads want to swap, it'd be the nearest player to you on the pitch. Like, in other words, if you were playing midfield and you were playing good, they'd be the nearest to you, and you just automatically swap the jerseys. You know. I think I have one or two well known, but I can't remember. My son has them, and I don't really look at them, Nathan, to be quite honest.
Did you keep much memorabilia?
I gave a lot of it away. I've still got, like, the big one. It was cup winners' medal. Have them. And a few jerseys and a few caps. See, we only used to get one cap a year. Actually, there was a time, believe it or not, in the FEI. You talk about them being skint now. We went 5 years without a cap.
In that nobody ever received one?
No. And there were some lads who was their first cap in that. And now we got, and what they did after the 5 years, they gave us one cap for the 5 years.
How'd that go down?
Not very well. Because in other words, they put, like, say, from 63
to
68, one cap, you know?
Yeah.
So you didn't get, like, I got what it was, 59 caps. I had nowhere near 59 caps.
Okay.
You'd be lucky if you had 15 or 20 of them.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a similar situation now where at the end of every year, every player who's played gets a cap for that year.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. You know, like, there was one time, you see, even before my time, you didn't play many internationals, you see, Nathan. Like, in the old days, you had what's now the European Championships. It was a knockout.
So there was no group. There wasn't a 10-game qualifying campaign.
And sometimes when we were with the selection committee, we'd be knocked out in the first round.
And that'd be it.
That'd be it. So we didn't play. Like, in my day, you got the statuette for 25 caps. And a lot of the players before my time didn't get 25 caps. Tommy Eglinton, who was a famous player, left winger, got 24 caps.
But would have been around the squad for...
It would have been 10 years. Yeah, but sometimes you'd only have 2 or 3 internationals. Because the champions, the European nations now, you're in the squad, the World Cup. You'd be playing whatever they're playing now, 6 matches, 8 matches.
Yeah, at least.
In those days, it could be 1 match and you're out. Right? But you'd only, no matter how many matches we played, we didn't play many, you'd get 1 for the season. You wouldn't get 1 per game.
Did you get paid for playing for Ireland?
Yeah, I think my first payment was 30 quid.
Per game?
I bought my mother television from it. That's how long ago. Not from my first cap. My first cap was in 59, and I think the television only came in 61, 62.
Right, brilliant.
But it was 30 quid. But 30 quid was 30 quid in those days, because the maximum wage in England was 20 quid.
Right, so you'd earn more for playing 1 cap for your country than you'd earn for the week.
Yeah, and in England, believe it or not, in those days, Nathan, it went by your age. Like, if you were 17, you got 8 quid and 7 quid in the summer. When you got to 18, you got a bit more and a bit more, right? And then you got to 19, it was 15 quid, right? But if you played in the first team, you got to 20 quid. But if you went back in the reserves the next week, you went back to the 15 quid. Right, so there wasn't an awful lot of money around. So, 30 quid for the international matches was a fair bit of money by the standards in those days. Then it went up to 50 quid, I think, later on, maybe 10 or 15 years later.
And that more sort of socialist model of everybody earning the same then, the flip then when the maximum wage and Jimmy Hill comes in and they managed to get rid of that. Did that change the dressing room culture at the time? Was there more jealousy all of a sudden within a dressing room when players could start earning more?
We were all on buttons. There wasn't like today you're talking about. Actually, Matt Busby was famous manager, and Matt didn't throw the money around. And what Matt used to say before the maximum wage was abolished, all you lads should be on 100 quid a week. That's what Matt used to say, because there was no sign of the maximum wage being abolished. But it was abolished unexpectedly. Right?
Right. So this wasn't years of campaigning?
No, this was start of the season, there was no chance of maximum wage being abolished. By the end of the season, it was abolished, right? So they could pay whatever they wanted, right? So, and Matt used to say to the players, this maximum wage is ridiculous, you'll be on 100 quid a week. Maximum wage is abolished, Matt's first offer, 25 quid a week, and a £5 appearance money.
Oh, what were you on?
So Jimmy Hill, not Jimmy Hill, Johnny Haynes, remember the famous comedian? There was a famous comedian, can't think of his name now. He was chairman of Fulham.
Right.
Right, and he committed himself early on, and one of the years before he said, if we could pay Johnny Haynes 100 quid a week, we'd pay it. Maximum wage was abolished. He had to pay the 100 quid a week. Johnny Haynes was the first 100 quid a week because he couldn't go back on it.
Yeah.
You know, and it was good for Johnny Haynes, but there was, but that was the offer of Manchester United, 25 quid a week and then some of the senior lads objected to it, and it went up to when we won the cup in '63, which was the first year of it, 30 quid a week and a tenner appearance money.
And are the players not looking at Johnny Haynes getting 100 quid a week and into the manager?
Of course, but what could you do about it? I think there was a bit of a setup. You see, nobody knew the going rate, Nathan. Nobody knew. I think Shankly and Busby colluded in the wages because it was no coincidence. Liverpool were
all the clubs in a certain region would agree.
Yeah.
What the maximum wage would be.
And what happened? See, nobody knew. If the Liverpool said, "Well, we've been offered 30 quid a week," a Man U player said, "Well, we've been offered 30 quid." Well, that must be the.
You'd all just get on with it.
That must be the rate, yeah.
We do want to talk about what's been happening in the last week, but we have a break to get to as well. But we do have a text in while we're talking about that era. Can you ask John who was a better centre half at Leeds, John Charles or Jack Charlton?
Well, John Charles. Well, Jack Charlton was a top class player. John Charles was probably the best centre half in the world at that time, and the best centre forward in the world. This guy was an unbelievable player, Nathan. He played in the Leeds team just before he went in at 60 grand at that time, record fee, to go to Juventus, right? He played in the Leeds United team that I think just avoided relegation, and he scored 40 odd goals. This guy was unbelievable. He'd be worth a record fee in the world today.
And what was it that he had that enabled him to play in both positions?
He was a huge big man, but he had the touch of a little fella playing. Quick, great in the air. I mean, he was in Juventus for a few seasons, right? And apparently 20 years or 30 years, when he went back to a match in Juventus, the crowd wouldn't let him go down the street. He was unbelievable.
With such respect for him.
Unbelievable player. He scored loads of goals in Italy, where it was very difficult for anybody to make the grade in Italy.
He was top scorer in Serie A one season.
At least one season. He was absolutely brilliant. So he moved from Leeds at that time. Leeds got relegated the next year. He was doing it on his own. Actually, I remember going to a match when I first went to England, Main Road, when the time of the Don Revie year in the top city, and Leeds was just being promoted, right? And they were playing, and Big Jack was playing. Big Jack, when he was younger in those days, wasn't very good. Actually, they were getting beaten 1-0 when Jack got injured. There was no subs in those days. Man City were the top team. And but Jack was having a nightmare, to be quite honest. He was being totally torn to bits because when he was younger, he wasn't that good a player. And Jack had to go off, and it was the best thing that happened to Leeds. John Charles went back to centre half and played him on his own.
Right. That's what I was about to ask.
Finished 1-0. Finished 1-0.
Did it rotate during his career that he plays a striker for the most part, but could he use as an option as a centre-back? Yeah, well, he's more valuable at centre-forward than he was at centre-half because he was scoring so many goals. I think he scored 42 goals the year before he went to Juventus in a poor team. He was unbelievable. He was a huge big man, brilliant in the air. There's photographs from later in Italy where there's 3 defenders hanging out of him and he's getting a header on scoring a goal. Like he was unbelievable. He had a great touch. He was an intelligent player. He was one of the greats. So, like Juventus didn't go for mugs, ever. But in those days, they had the pick of, because the money that they could spend, they could buy any player in England. Did you ever have the option of going abroad?
I didn't.
No.
You wouldn't. The man, when I was at my best years at Leeds, Revie wouldn't tell you. Like if there was anybody interested in you.
You'd never hear about it.
To be fair, Nathan, I never wanted any ambition to go abroad. I was playing in the Leeds team, but we were going very well, and you knew at that time, it was in your head, like if the club don't want you to go, you don't go. And that's why I admired Kevin Keegan. Kevin Keegan broke that. Like Kevin Keegan's last match for Liverpool was when they won the Champions League. But I think Kevin Keegan had said the year before, I want to go. Now this was a time when none of us could go, but he insisted on it, and he did it. He was the first one to do it.
And he went to Hamburg.
Now Liverpool got paid. Obviously, they got a good fee for him. That's when they bought Dalglish to replace him. But he did it. None of us, myself included, ever thought When I was playing for Leeds and I signed for Leeds, that was it. I was playing for Leeds.
You never thought you could push to leave?
No, not at all. We were all brainwashed.
Into thinking this was
in that way. There was no freedom of contract.
John Charles scored 108 goals in 155 games over 5 years at Juventus. In their centenary year in 1997, he was voted the club's greatest ever foreign player.
Now you think of that goal scoring record in Italy. In Italy, Nathan, where nobody was scoring goals. Like, well, not saying nobody, but defensive. They were the best defensive defenders in the world. Italy for a long, long time, and he went there as a foreigner, as it were, and scored that amount of goals playing for them.
Would have been good to talk to Giovanni Trapattoni about John Charles' time.
He'd tell you. Yeah.
If he's ever back in Ireland, we'll definitely talk to him about that. We do need to take a quick break because we want to chat through what's been going on at Spurs in particular this week.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Jeff and Heskey.
ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, do, re, mi's. We're quick to teach our children the essential tools they need for day-to-day life. But when do we talk to them about money? I'm Henry McKean, and this week on News Talk, we've teamed up with Bank of Ireland to focus on youth financial well-being, giving you an insight into how young people treat money, along with expert advice, tips and guides on how to start them on the path to financial well-being from early on in life. Join us on air, on social, and on newstalk.com.
Youth financial well-being.
On News Talk.
Thanks to Bank of Ireland, enabling children to understand all things money related. For more, see boi.com/Ollie the Owl. Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The Motorsport Show, RDS Simmons Court Dublin. A must-attend event for all motorsport fans, experts, collectors and car enthusiasts. Featuring performance cars, rally cars, drifters, Formula 1 simulator, live runway and much, much more. Saturday 23rd and Sunday 24th November. Tickets from €55 on sale now. Additional charges may apply. For more, see themotorsportshow.com.
Proudly supported by Off the Ball.
Start your story with unmissable savings this week at Woodie's. Savings like Triton T90 SR electric shower, now €229. All Dulux interior coloured emulsion, 25% off. And all flat pack furniture and bar stools, now half price. Woodie's, we're all homemakers. T's and C's and exclusions apply.
International football is more exciting than ever.
Remember that first time on the terraces, where it all began. The heroes, the villains, the highs, the lows. All the while, you were learning. Now use that knowledge on Football Index. Join tens of thousands of fans trading the world's top players. Football Index. The game changed. App available. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly.
What's the name of our accountants again? Cooney and Rooney?
Rooney and Cooney. But didn't they get a new partner?
Rooney, Cooney and Mooney.
It's Rooney, Cooney and Cashel, as in blue cheese.
Rooney, Cooney and blue cheese?
Not sure your accountants do all they should? Talk to Tax Assist. With over 20 locations, Tax Assist is a modern network of proactive accountants for growing businesses. Not blue cheese. Tax Assist.
Are you a self-assessed income taxpayer? The October 31st pay and file deadline is approaching fast. If you pay and file using ROS, Revenue's online service, you have until November 12th. Register for ROS today at revenue.ie. If you are already registered, make sure you can log into ROS now. Don't miss the deadline. Pay and file on time.
At Centra, we have great offers on healthier options. Like Centra Fresh Irish Chicken Fillet 680 gram, half price now €4.50. Meridian Crunchy or Smooth Peanut Butter 280 gram, better than half price now €1.78 each. And Strong Root Selected Range 450 to 500 gram, now €3 each. Centra. Live every day.
The Great Sofa event is now on at Flanagan Cairns in Bray, with discounts on all sofas, even on special orders. Many display models at less than half price for immediate delivery, and we've lots of other special offers in store. We've free delivery, free assembly and free disposal of your replaced sofa or bed. The Great Sofa event is now on. Flanagan Cairns, Southern Cross Bray, next to Woody's and DID. Flanagan Cairns, furniture for life.
Tuesday, October 8th, the Republic of Ireland take on Ukraine in a huge Women's Euro 2021 qualifier. In partnership with 20 by 20, we're asking you to help the team and make history by setting a new attendance record in Tallaght Stadium. Kick-off is 7:30pm and tickets are just €5, while under-16s go free. Show your stripes for the girls in green and new manager Vera Pau in her first match at Tallaght Stadium. Tickets on sale now at fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Jeff and Heskey.
John Giles is live in studio. I want to touch briefly on the week that was for both Tottenham and Manchester United. Spurs knocked out of the League Cup by Colchester United, just about surviving on penalties against Rochdale. The Spurs situation, they've lost more games away from home than any other side in the Premier League this year. Pochettino again this week saying there's different agendas at play at Tottenham. What's your read on what's happening?
Well, I think he's absolutely right. I mean, you've got the Ericsson situation, you've got the Alderweireld situation, who's run out of contract. There's about 4 players running out of contract at the club. That's no way to run a club, Nathan. I mean, I always found in football, when everything is right and good in the dressing room, it's difficult. Now, when you've got situations like Pochettino has, it's impossible. Absolutely impossible. And
so do you put all of this, the root of all of this is the transfer activity and the instability from Ericsson, Alderweireld, and even the situation with someone like Danny Rose, who they left off their pre-season tour so he could go and find a new club, doesn't get a new club, and has now started every game so far this season.
Yeah, I had Trippier going, so Pochettino want him to go, and we don't know.
For 20 million quid?
Yeah, so definitely there's 2 agendas there. You know, you got Pochettino's and you got the chairman's. The chairman is run as a business, and he's saying, well, and what he can say to it, well, look how well we've done, doing what I've done. But he's not saying what Pochettino said, but look how much better we could do. If you let me do what I wanted to do, we'd be up there winning things. And when you get a dressing room split, like those lads who are on transfers, you can't concentrate on what you're doing, really. And especially the players who have signed up, they want to be part of the club. Now, you've got 4 or 5 that could be going at the end of the season. So you're coming in every morning. And what's happened then, you get a suspicion. The lads who are tied to the club say, well, they're not having a go. So team spirit, you heard of team spirit, Tommy. How do you define team spirit? You know, it's very difficult. You get team spirit when everybody's going in the right direction. That can't be the way at Spurs. It just can't, because we know from outside this is what's happening.
You can obviously lose that very quickly, because you think back to that comeback against Ajax in the Champions League semi-final, where clearly there was a team spirit there.
Yeah, but they should have gone on from there. Like, I was very lucky. I played with Leeds United. I don't want to go back on it too long. For 11 years, and Don Reevy left. Right, we had an unbelievable team spirit. We were all together. We were going to be the club, and then you've got to believe that the manager's going to be there forever, and all the things that make the spirit right. We had that in abundance. We just won the league, and then for some reason the board appointed Brian Clough. 44 days, Nathan. It was gone. Because Clough favoured a couple of players, in my opinion, that weren't favoured. Or nobody was favoured in front with Revy. We were all the same. We favoured a couple of players in the squad that ruined it. We were gone we'd no spirit after 44 days. We'd had it for 11 years.
So do you think Pochettino, very briefly, just before we finish, do you think Pochettino can turn this round?
No. I don't think he can turn it around unless the chairman goes with what he wants to do. The chairman has done a great job building the stadium and all the various things, but he'd ignored what's happening on the pitch. Right? Pochettino has to get right on the pitch with the right ideas and the backing of the chairman. And he's not getting that. He hasn't got it for the last few years. I mean, if he signed it at the start of the season, or last year, if we won the league, I would have taken a few days off. And he said, even early on, I don't want to be named as the manager, I want the coach. Because he's not getting what he wants. Now, it's not right. And if it's not right at that level, it's not right all the way down. So you have players like Ericsson and that, who are out of contract, who are going to go. You can't commit yourself to the club, like in Ericsson's case, if he knows that he's going to be leaving and wants to leave, and everybody knows he wants. The players know that he plays with, so the players suspect, is he having a go, is he not having a go? That's team spirit. You can't define team spirit, you know, or the right team spirit. It's there because of everything else is right and in the right way, and it's definitely not right at Spurs.
we'll talk Manchester United next week and see how they got on. They're playing Arsenal on Monday night, so we'll chat a bit more about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. John, great stuff as always.
Thanks, Nathan.
Up next, we're talking rugby. John Muldoon and Keith Wood.
Join that conversation. Text us on 53106. Texts cost 30 cents.
Listen up, class. Aldi's Play Rugby sticker promotion is back. Collect official Irish rugby stickers every time you spend €30 in Aldi. Fill your primary school's poster for a chance to win one of 2 €50,000 prizes or one of 10 €10,000 prizes for your school's playing facilities. Tomorrow, Japanese for beginners. Konnichiwa, kids.
Konnichiwa, sir.
Aldi.